candy.
Yeah, agreed.
I'll read first because last time I ran out of breath and that wasn't very flattering. So it is my friend Tara's birthday. So she's finally 16. It's going to be so amazing for her. And apparently you have a thing for dads because you love Anthony Bourdain. I love him too. I think he's that hotness where he's like kind of hot, but kind of not, but kind of hot.
That's my type.
Like your friend's uncle, and he's like went to Bali before, and he has like tattoos and like smokes, and you're like, wow, he's so bad for me. He's like a white rapper, just the perfect amount of danger. I love him so much. But you know, I thought I would also read you something that's very poignant. So this is actually his last interview. And I thought it was very interesting because when you watch the video of this, they don't tell you any of the pre-stuff. And I always want to know about the foreplay. I want to know what set the mood, what candles they were burning, what fragrance he was wearing. You know, if he shaved well, did he cut himself, going through something, what he's listening to. So this is his last video. Anthony Bourdain had started smoking again, and it was the first thing I noticed as he sat down with me last February. He was a bit hungover from a recent working trip to South Louisiana for a Cajun Mardi Gras. Harder partying than I'm used to, I gotta say, he said, laughing. Despite his great height, his leonine, new word of the day, because we're like, ask Siri what that is. Leonine, is that actually what it is? Oh, a scholar in the house! Love it! What's her name? Silly, well no, what's your name, Silly? Josh? Oh, Josh, you're a beautiful woman. I love it. Learned, yes. Okay. There was this thin, slight dissipation to it. But no, this was a yes. Like so confirmed, like looked online and said yes, and I heard yes. Who could be troubled about the well-being of Anthony Bourdain? Just look at him, so debonair, so completely at ease, a veritable prince of savoir vivre? Some like French person just being like, 61? Oh girl, she was 61. 61 and still very elegant in his looks. The word sexy came to mind. Ooh, same taste, girl. This writer and you. Almost an old-fashioned word now. The sort of person who seems to think with his hips, his hands. He was. I thought we had to read erotica after this, like get the audience stimulated. No, I think we're gonna be okay. Okay, he was in love. He would later admit he and his new girlfriend Asia Argento had started smoking again together. He was a little rueful about the smoking, had the air of someone who meant to quit soon. As he started talking, everything about him became familiar at once. He slipped so effortlessly into the sleek carapace of his fame. The very air of vulnerability he projected along with the rough candor was part of this persona. But he was a very private person. As his assistant, Laurie Wohlever reminded me after his death. Something I'd already known from reading his books. He liked the piece I had written about him and sent me an unbelievable kind of note about it, which was what he emboldened me to ask for an interview. That, and he was famously generous to writers in general. When someone that famous, things have to be arranged within an inch of their lives. And there was no time limit set for this interview. I thought he'd spend maybe 15 minutes with me, and to make them count, I'd need to be laser focused. I decided to ask him of the matter of luxury. Because through his television work, Parts Unknown, especially, Bourdain showed Americans a different way of thinking. Not only about food, but about travel and tourism. About looking at ourselves as one part of the larger human story. in stark contrast to the conventional notion of travel. Americans cast themselves as exceptionalist, democratic superstars in the drama, with the rest of the planet Earth as their tour guide co-stars and plenty of violins in the soundtrack. Had Bourdain succeeded in bringing a more inclusive and egalitarian dimension to American culture, what is tourism now? Isn't it doomed, all this determined globetrotting for 2 weeks a year with the obligatory, although I shouldn't have drank that beer. That was not a good life choice. I didn't even drink like most of it, it's still there. I'm honest. Is it immoral even to get on an airplane? What was the goal of his work? Ultimately, how did he see it? So one topic, and try to persuade him to say different things from those he'd already said in his interviews, I braced myself for 15 minutes of tented psyche vacuuming. Instead, he spent 2.5 hours with me in the comfy Irish bar, blabbing about everything under the sun. The transcript of this conversation is in excess of 20,000 words, and nobody bothered us in all that time, and it was like there was a force field around him. Not one person has come up to you. Does this happen like anywhere on Earth? No. He talked about Me Too, and the powerful forces of evil arrayed against decent people, about Rose McGowan, about raising daughters, about the sexual mores of the 1970s. He told me how he imagined the death of Harvey Weinstein, a hilarious, weirdly specific fantasy that I'll share with you in a moment. We talked about luxury too. He drank Stella's and I drank Malbec. We went outside and I had my first cigarette in some years. We went back in and had another couple of drinks and went back outside and had another cigarette, Marlboro Reds. He invited me to see his apartment right across the street. It was way up high in a luxurious new building. The place itself spotless, almost characterless, like a very beautiful hotel room, with a ton of books and better pictures on the walls. He spent 5 days there a month. He showed me his tree panning tools, and his portrait of Iggy Pop in the living room. I was so gobsmacked and tipsy by now that I managed only to take a few blurry cell phone photos, half thinking I might ask for a follow-up later. And if that happened, I'd bring a photographer. Just the conversation was going to take a long time to digest. How long? The answer is forever. Is that cool?
Sure.
Okay, so because it's about Anthony Bourdain, and I thought that I would sing because I drank that half a beer. I thought I'd sing locations by Glee because it just kind of works out. This could be horrible, so don't get your hopes up. I smoke a lot. You hit it, DJ. Give it to me.
Understand that things go a little bit better when you plan it. No, yeah. You send me your location, let's focus on